across all the pricing?
You're right.
Okay, awesome. Okay, great. All right, looks like we're just getting on to, are we live on YouTube right now, Carlos? I got a notification that we were live streaming, but I gotta.
Yes,
Great.
we are online. We are on
Looks like
YouTube.
we're just getting on to. Okay. And let's go ahead and mute your side. Yeah, that sounds awesome. Okay, welcome everybody that's in the private meeting, the Dream Team Glenn's Guidance meeting, and also welcome to everybody that's watching the live stream on YouTube. We are going to start. We always try to start right on time out of respect for your time. So we'll get started in about 3-4 minutes here with the official training. But for now, just welcome everybody, and we're going to talk about how to raise prices. This is a training for tax professionals who are looking at raising or adjusting prices for your tax clients. And as we're talking about in the meeting before, kind of the meeting before the live stream at least, was this is pretty time sensitive for a lot of us as tax professionals, right? There's only less than a month left in 2023. Next tax season is coming up, very, very soon here. So the time when we normally will adjust prices is right now, right? So looking to really have a hands-on conversation that is geared towards what you are going to do or are thinking about doing in a short time frame, right? Because if you change your prices in the right way, it could really positively impact our next year. If we change prices in a way that doesn't work, there's obviously some risk in that, right? And that can be kind of scary. At least I think it's kind of scary at times to make those kind of changes. So we really want to have this be a training that, especially if you are working on this right now for your business, for your career, have this be a training that you can really apply and get something out of over the next 30 days, as we're heading into the new year. So that's kind of the overall goal. Like I said, we'll get started in about 3 minutes here. And yeah, that's the story. I want to also thank, just before we do get started here, I want to thank Glenn Weiland, our Chief Support Officer. This is normally his Glenn's Guidance session. He was nice enough to invite me in for this training. And Glenn's somebody that is, as the other members that are on the meeting know, just really somebody that's always, putting your guys' best interests at heart and really working on your behalf. So Glenn, we want to just really recognize you, appreciate you. I think you have been one of the most consistent of doing these Dream Team mastermind trainings every single week on Wednesdays. So really want to recognize you, appreciate you. Thanks for allowing me to present today. Also for all the Dream Team members that are on here, normally this is like a small group meeting, right? That's kind of just us and just the members. We are for this meeting, I was hearing so much talk about this topic that I felt like it was a good opportunity to just give a good portion of this training free to everybody. Even if you're not a Dream Team member, I just wanted everybody to kind of be able to participate and hopefully benefit from this, because I know it's something that's on people's minds. So we do have, I don't know how many visitors we have or to our meeting on YouTube Live, but hopefully it's more than a few. And welcome to everybody here. And thanks to the Dream Team members for being here at your regular meeting and also inviting in our other guests. So, all right, let me get us started here with the topic. And let's see if it's, okay, 1 minute to go. I don't want to start too early, but I also like to start right on time. You guys know how I am. My son's got his first basketball practice tonight too of his life. So I got some good news that he made a shot or something like that. So, all right, welcome everybody. So the topic tonight, and this is a training for tax professionals, how to raise prices for tax clients without losing more clients than you can afford to lose. And this is going to be an actionable step-by-step process training that by the end of this training, You might not do this exactly the same way that we present the training. And of course, we respect that there's many different ways to go about this, right? And you're going to know most about how to do this for your own clients. But hopefully the process that we show you, you can take something away from it. Maybe you want to follow it exactly. Whatever the case may be, we want you at the end of this training to feel like if it's a decision that you make to raise prices, that how to go about it in a way that would actually lead to success for you. So this topic is kind of funny because all the industry gurus agree, right, about undercharging and some of the habits we have as independent tax professionals, right? I mean, whenever you go to any conference or on social media, right, it's that, hey, you guys habitually undercharged, it's killing you, it's messing you up, and it disgusts me, or whatever the case may be, right? So some gurus even take it so far as to imply, or again, I might have inferred this, that even continuing to do tax preparation means, you're a dinosaur. Well, I'm a clown. I'm missing the boat. I'm leaving money on the table. And so, that kind of can have some effects on the self-esteem, right? And then at the same time, sometimes I look at this topic and I have that little rebellious streak where I start to ask certain questions, and maybe the gurus don't really know what they're talking about. Maybe they might be a little bit out of touch. And so we have many, members in Pronto Tax School, and I know many tax professionals that, will do, between 500 and let's say 1,000 tax returns a year, right, for real clients. And then, I look at sometimes at different gurus are saying X, Y, and Z, and, maybe they're not really doing that, right, in real life. So I start to think, hey, who do I listen to? I start to ask some questions. I think of the Mark Twain quote, one of my favorite quotes, which is whenever you find yourself on the side of the majority, it's time to pause and reflect. And so at the same time, I definitely see what the gurus are saying. So I think that they're probably right in a lot of cases when it comes to us as independent tax professionals. So I just did a really simple spreadsheet example of let's say you have 300 clients, just for sake of example, right? And average price is $200. You're going to have revenue 60,000, right? Average price is $300. It's going to be revenue 90,000. And realistically, with the way pricing and money is these days, that $100 extra that the client pays, is probably not that big of a difference in their life. But for most tax professionals, that missing 30,000 getting filled in is a pretty huge difference, right? It's a pretty huge difference in what we can do. And so as much as I like to sometimes, go against the grain with the gurus and tease it even a little bit, I think that there's some truth in that. And so when it comes to what is the result of the pricing sort of conundrum, or the underpricing that we're talking about, or potential underpricing, how does that impact us as tax professionals, right? And we see a lot of tax professionals that really wish that they were making an extra 20,000 a year, and kind of wondering how to go about that. And so the pricing aspect of it is, for business wise, if you already have the clients, changing and increasing the pricing, potentially can give you those extra funds that then make a big difference, a positive difference in your life, right? So it's not just an academic exercise for us. These are things that are, can really affect us as professionals and as people, right? So I was, cruising on the internet, and I ran across this poll on Facebook. And it was a poll about tax professionals. How much are you going to raise your prices this upcoming year, right? And so it was 0%. Nobody said 3%. That's way too low, right? 5%, 20%, okay, 33%, 10%, and 35%, 20%. So 71% of respondents to this poll, this obviously isn't like a scientific thing or, millions of people, right? But pretty large majority saying, hey, I'm going to go up by at least 10%, or at least that's what I'm saying on Facebook. So sometimes you say things on Facebook that maybe don't happen in reality, but there's also the aspect of taxes of what are we charging for, right? And a lot of clients don't really understand the value of what's being provided. And even sometimes us as tax professionals, we don't understand the value that we might be providing, right? Or we might be uncertain of the value that we're providing. So we might feel like, hey, I'm trying to sell something that isn't worth this amount of money. And I'm just trying to say that, well, it's inflation, or it's my rent went up, or whatever the case may be. That way of doing things is not really working that great for a lot of independent tax professionals. And we're the type of people that, and correct me if I'm wrong, we're the type of people that really want to feel like we're creating a great value when clients invest in us. I think that's a very common thing that we see across our members and across really, almost all independent tax professionals that I know. They want to feel like, hey, this is a great value. Whatever I charge is well worth it. And so when it comes to tax services being well worth it, what does that mean? What makes a certain tax professional service worth more than another tax professional service in the eyes of the client, right? Because the clients are the ones that ultimately make the decision about whether to give us their money, right? And even how they feel about giving us their money. And so this is a format that we use to evaluate value of tax services being provided. And so on the left side, these are the three factors that we use to determine how valuable the service is. And the left side is the kind of the attribute of the service, right? So relationship, ROI, and risk. And on the right side is the what we see as the question in the client's mind. So this is the question that the client is going to ask when determining value and when determining the value of tax services being provided. Okay, so with regard to relationship, I, as a client, I'm going to ask, do I know, like, and trust you? And if that answer is yes, especially if it's a resounding yes, right, that value is going to go up, right? Because I don't really trust, know, like, and trust that many people, especially in the financial services space. So if I can answer this yes in your favor, your service is pretty valuable to me. And so secondly, return on investment, ROI, right? Do you save and or get me more money than I pay you? That's just a calculation that I'm going to run in my mind, right? And is that amount of money going to be more than another solution could save and or get me? So with all due respect to you, I know we're friendly and we're friends and all that, but I'm going to look at the ROI that your service is going to get me. Like, does your expertise help me get a larger tax refund? Does your expertise reduce my taxes? And if so, how much, right? And then I'll compare that amount of money that you saved me or got me to what I paid you, right? And so the more, the more positive that ROI is, the more valuable I'm going to perceive your service to be, right? And then this one is kind of the underestimated one, but I think is a huge value, the risk element. So if something goes wrong, which, as we all know, things do in tax world, right? Do you have my back and will you protect me? And so if these questions can be answered yes, especially a strong positive yes, that's where we see the value coming from when it comes to due pricing. Okay, so before we get into the hands-on training, just a quick note as well on it's kind of a crazy time, in terms of, like, there's a presidential election coming up next year. The economy is kind of, people can't tell if it's a good economy or they hate it or whatever it might be, right? So generally speaking, I wanted to put out a few factors of as we are thinking about raising prices. Like, I'm sitting here thinking, like, should I listen to the gurus? Should I listen to the gurus, or should I, what should I do? These are a few factors that I see being in play. So on the yes, it's a good time to raise prices side of the ledger, so to speak. The performance by many tax professionals, including many people in this meeting and probably on this YouTube stream, especially during COVID, with the PPP, the EID, you guys know what happened, right? The performance by most independent tax professionals that I know has been nothing less than amazing. Like, you guys have backed up your clients so awesome during these tumultuous times. Like, it really is a notable thing. I think it's, I think it's something that sometimes we even underestimate, but when you really think about how much you helped your clients during this time, it's pretty awesome. and that definitely goes to, hey, there's probably, the clients that recognize that, or if we can help clients recognize that, there's some latent pricing power there, I think. Secondly, and this is a big thing, is a big factor. There's a very short supply of expert tax preparers, right? And as you guys all see as well, right? So the greatest generation of CPAs and tax pros kind of retiring, slowing down, maybe not taking new clients, maybe getting rid of new clients, that generation, which is, has an amazing track record of success. And then not enough new people entering the industry. So when supply is going down, right, and then demand is staying the same or going up, right, that's more pricing power potentially. The tax code obviously was already, just insanely complex and treacherous, especially for business clients. And now the IRS is really ramping up enforcement. So that potentially adds a lot of value in the risk side of those 3 R's, right? On the no side, so now is not a good time to raise prices. Some clients might think, hey, this year is going to be pretty straightforward, right? No stimuluses or stimuli or no 1099-K chaos that has been canceled, right? Is this a good time to use a DIY robot to do it myself online? Inflation, this probably to me is kind of the toughest depending on the makeup of your client base. But inflation has been really tough. Rent prices have been way up, food prices way up, just prices for everything way up. And a lot of lower and middle income clients feel like, hey, if you raise my price another 20% this tax season, is that kind of piling on our part? And how's that going to be received, right? So, and then thirdly, the AI, the DIY robot capabilities increasing, the automation technology getting better and better. That potentially can put even more disruption into the tax industry, right? So these are kind of some factors to consider, I think, going into tax season. Clear goals for this training. First half of the training is free for everybody right here on YouTube Live. We're going to go exactly step by step through how to raise prices for tax clients, show you a step-by-step process. We're going to show you how to know ahead of time if you can raise prices for your clients without losing more clients than you can afford to lose. Obviously, if you raise prices and we lose all our clients, that's probably not good math in our favor, right? We're going to show how to estimate client loss due to price increases and how to minimize client loss due to price increases. There's going to be a second half of the training, which is exclusively for Dream Team members in the private Zoom room, how to communicate those price changes to your clients. So they'll be, most of them, good with it. How to actually enjoy the process, embrace the moment. We're going to do live Q&A, interactive discussion, see what's going on with you guys specifically. And then we have a number of tools that you're going to come away with. So the Pronto team in the private Zoom right now, if you can drop these tools in there so people have them during the training, that would be great. Okay, so raise prices execution checklist. That's going to go give you step-by-step this process, every step of it. Then there's going to be a spreadsheet template, which we'll also show you in a second here. Price increase notification letter and some scripts you can use to deal with price objections. So that's what's going on for tonight. This one, actually, the disclaimer is kind of important, right? Because I don't want any type of situation where it's like, hey, I did what you said to do, and then like I lost half my clients or I lost all my clients because of this, et cetera. So this is really for professionals. And as a professional, we always have to take 100% responsibility for everything that we do. So this is, we feel like this is good information for you, but you always are making the final decision about what to do with your own business and your own career. So definitely keep that in mind. All right, with that being said, let's get right into the actual doing of the things, right? So we're going to go in here. This is the price raising execution checklist, and let's just go step by step. Can you see that, Imelda, on your end?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, so this is going to be the checklist, and I would point out that if you're a Dream Team member already, if you need help with any of these, right? So you look at this checklist and you're like, hey, I need extra help with this, right? Make sure to reach out to your mentor team for assistance. Also, I was going to say, for people that are watching the training and want to become a Dream Team member, there should be a link in the video description on YouTube that you can go and sign up. And we've also added a monthly payment plan if you want to get into it and try it out on a monthly basis. So if you want to do that before the training, you should also get a notification of how to join the private meeting. So step one, and I think this is something that we skip a lot and really shouldn't. Why do you want to raise prices? What is the reason why? Right? And if it's a reason, something like, hey, the guru said that I need to do it, to me, that's not really that motivating. Somebody else telling me that I need to do something. Now let's contrast that with a common reason that we see right now among our fellow tax professionals. Let's say that you're having trouble retaining team. A lot of times that is related to maybe team isn't making enough money that team wants. And so if I feel like, hey, I'm going to not be able to retain my team unless I charge higher prices so that I can pay my team more. And I'm going to end up not having any team and not having any help unless I can raise these prices and have that money and that budget available. That's going to be a little bit more motivating for me than, well, I just should do this because of some unclear reason, tied to, somebody else's statements, right? And so I really want to understand before we go about this, why do you want to raise prices? Like why is life better, after that? And why is life worse if that does not happen? At this point, we want to make an evaluation of what is the value of my service. And I want to run a check on those three factors that I talked about, right? The three R's: relationship, ROI, and risk. And I want to understand that from my client's point of view. If you do need help making that evaluation, we have a checklist that we built. Carlos and Imelda, if you guys wouldn't mind putting that as well in the YouTube comments link so that everybody who wants it can get that checklist free. And you can look at this checklist and just check off for each client or for your clients in general. It's just like a thought exercise to see the more boxes you check on this checklist, the more valuable your service is as a tax professional. So before I go to raise prices, I want to understand what is the value of my service. I also want to understand what are the other options that my client has. If I raise prices, obviously some clients are going to think, well, I'm going to think of what other options I have because I don't want to pay more, right? So as a professional, I need to know ahead of time. What those other options are, especially with the options that are most likely to pick up the clients that I may lose if I raise prices. So I want to do some market research. I want to talk with some other tax professionals and see who's charging what, especially when it comes to my best competitors. At this point, I want to, frankly, mentally and spiritually prepare myself to experience some complaints and some conflict. Because there's not going to be any way that we're going to raise prices and there's not going to be any complaints. That's just it's just not how things work, right? So we want to look back and see here, once we've gotten clear on what is the vision that we're trying to achieve by changing prices, we want to reach back to that and decide, is it worth it? Right? Is it worth it to take some risk and have some discomfort to move towards my vision of what I want? And, on this same line, right, I need to prepare myself to lose some clients. Like sometimes we feel like I can't lose a single client over price. That would just hurt too bad, and so we got to just realize that that's going to happen. That's going to happen. We can minimize it. We can try to, keep every client happy. But it's, just the way that it is. If you go to raise prices, we're going to lose some clients. And so realizing that there's going to be complaints and there's going to be lost clients, regardless if we raise prices or not, is something that may help us to move forward. But I do think it's important to really, just actually think about it, and this is part of the process that's going to happen. Another thing that's really important, I think, is setting aside sufficient time. Like if you're really serious about doing this and doing it in a best way for you, you need to block time. I've done this myself and it requires a lot of focus. You actually have to think through it. And these are decisions that you're going to have to deal with, when you come to deal with clients. So definitely block time. And if you have other team members that you need to participate, I would block their time as well. Okay, let's get into the nuts and bolts of how to do this. So I would export all of my tax clients from the tax software into a CSV or Excel file. Okay, so that's the first step. Most tax softwares will let you do this, and you can work with your tech support, your tax software tech support to do that. At minimum, I want to have the client name and the last year price in that file. And we're going to look at an actual file here in a second, so this will come clear. Some people might want to be overachievers and also export like the client's income level, whether they owed or got a refund, maybe the tax preparer who served that client, if you need that tax preparer's opinion of the client relationship, for example. If you think that additional data would be helpful for pricing, then go for it, but I would be careful of overcomplicating it. At that point, you want to paste the client data into the plug and play spreadsheet that we're about to show you. So with that being said, let's make sure I can show you that. Are you guys seeing a spreadsheet right now, Melda?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So this is the spreadsheet that we're using here, and this would be here's 100 fake clients that I put in, right? Let me zoom out. So here's 100 fake clients that I put in just for sake of example, as well as the last year price. So this is giving us clarity on this is what already happened last year, right? And so just getting this on paper and being able to look at this, I think for a lot of tax professionals, is a real eye opener and starts to open up opportunities. But so you want to export your client name, last year price, get it into the spreadsheet. At that point, you're going to need to do some modifications to the spreadsheet because like you might have 1,000 clients, you might have 20 clients. And so a lot of these totals down here in the spreadsheet are tied to the cells. So you're going to need to do some light modifications of that, which a lot of you guys being Excel wizards would already be able to do, but no big deal. It's all doable. Okay, this is something that I want to address right now is the idea of a minimum price. So when you go into the spreadsheet, this would be the first thing that I would look at would be the minimum price. So when you go ahead and put in your minimum price into the spreadsheet, so let's say, for example, it's $300. That is going to bring all of the clients that aren't at the minimum. It's going to put them at the minimum right there. Okay. And so as you go through your spreadsheet, this for a lot of tax professionals, just changing the minimum price and being able to adjust this cell will be something that might be the only thing you need, right? It might, at the end of the day, it might be the only thing you need. We're going to do more than that, but this is a really key cell here that you want to be able to play around with a little bit and to see how the numbers adjust. And so let me with the spreadsheet. So the gray cells, you want to definitely fill in those cells. Green would be like if you want to fill it in for extra credit or to really get the best results, and then clear or auto calculate cells. So I think it's best if we're just going to show the examples. So these are the steps that these are basically, hey, fill in the cells as we go. And that'll look best, I think, by actually going through and doing some examples. So let's do a few examples to get the hang of it. So I'm going to look through my client list and I'm going to say, okay, yeah, Benjamin, I know him. I feel like that's a 5. When it comes time to the relationship is great. The ROI from my expertise is great. Saved him a ton of money with my expertise. And the risk, there is some risk to his situation and we were going to be able to back him up. I know there's a lot of value for that. And then I'm just going to go over into this column here. And so I think this column is probably going to be both the most challenging, but also the biggest opportunity for independent tax professionals is, how do I put this? So imagine you were somebody that had no feelings at all. There was no feelings. It was just purely a business transaction. Right. I know that's hard to envision because you're attached to a lot of clients and really like them personally and all that. But just imagine for a moment that it was just purely business. What is the maximum price that Benjamin Turner would pay for the service that we provide and still stay with us as a client and be okay? And what I mean by be okay is like, let's say that you have a client that is really struggling financially. Right. Even though you might be able to get more money out of them, you don't want to hurt them and you don't want to feel like, hey, they really can't handle this price, right? So we want to have some kind of knowledge of the client's ability to pay, although sometimes that can be also a little hard to perceive, right? But we just want to say, I have no feelings. I'm just looking at it from a business point of view. So I think the most that he would pay and still stay and be okay would be $950. So once you put a number in this column, this is going to override this year's price. And that's going to become this year's price. Now, if you feel like, hey, I want to further adjust that, you certainly can. But I think it's important to just go through the client list and rank the service, first of all, and establish what is the maximum price that I could charge, and the client would still stay and be okay. Now, you're going to make a determination at this point, is this client probably going to leave at this price? So if I say yes, that's going to be a subtraction from my revenue for this year. I'm going to anticipate losing this client. So let's say, for example, that Benjamin was really, kind of a difficult client to deal with. I feel like it's really a lot of risk to his situation. He really needs a lot of attention, this kind of thing. I might price this more this way and see, is it time for us to, maybe not be working together, right? So there's different ways to go about this. And obviously you can, customize this to your needs. If you want to go into who's the best competitor and what would be the price that they would charge. So I'm Benjamin. I'm going to go shopping because you raised my price. Where am I most likely to go? And how much am I going to pay there? And then you can put any, notes here. Benjamin's a great client. He's an amazing person. Really helped him with his PPP loan, whatever the case may be, right? But these gray cells are really the main inputs that I want to have in the course of deciding if and how to raise prices. And so we're just going to go through the client list, and just look, okay, Livia, she's kind of a new client, really don't know her that well, haven't been able to provide that much value. It was a pretty straightforward situation. So I'm going to say probably the most that she would pay is $350. I don't think that she'll leave at that price. I think we'll have a chance to keep her business. Obviously, we want to get this up to a 5. What about Ethan? Okay, yeah, Ethan. I think we did pretty well on our service ranking. We could do better, right? I think this work can be priced more, about 600. This client, no, I think he would stay and pay that. Let's do 575. I think that would be more appropriate, right? And so you're just going through and making this determination. As you go through on the spreadsheet, you're going to see, like, this is your dashboard right here, this little area. So you're going to see what is the service value ranking that we have average across our entire client database. And obviously we want to get this number up as close to 5 as we can. We want to have 5-star service for all clients, ideally, right? This is also going to show you your aggregate percentage price increase. So it's obviously down right now because I haven't filled in the rest of these figures, right, for the new prices. This is going to show how much you're going to lose in revenue, how much you're anticipating losing in revenue. And then it's going to show the 1 year, the 3 year, and the 5 year impact of these price changes. So as you go through this, and people might be saying right now, like, oh, I thought this was going to be like some kind of like a hack of like how to, like, I was going to plug in, this percentage and this, and every client was gonna be happy. I think realistically, like, between you and me, like, we've both been service providers, like dealing with real clients, right? Every client's different, every person is different. And so when we go to look at the client situation, and if you have a team, your team can help with this, right? Like, if you have that, the teammate has taken care of this client. But if we're going to go to raise prices, I want to know, what is the value of the service that we are giving to each client? And you could do this even, like, if you want to sort this by, let's say you want to sort the column by the largest price at the top or the lowest price at the top. So you can segment your clients, and maybe only some clients you want to raise, etc. But I think that really the way to go about doing this, and the way that we've seen work best, is to really think through what's the value of the client, what's the maximum price that they would pay and still stay and be okay. If you need to customize that further, you certainly can. And then we need to decide, like, based on what we know, what is the likelihood that this client is going to stay? Okay. So you're going to go through and, or, whoever's wants to raise prices and wants to use this tool is going to go through and make this determination for each client. Okay. And that's going to auto populate in the white cells. And then the gray cells are your input cells that you want to do. So obviously, if you have 2,000 clients, if you have 3,000 clients, the part about setting aside time, right, is and so you may want, like I said, if you only want to do this across some of your clients, that's totally understandable, whatever way you want to handle it. But this is the way that we have seen work best, and what I have done myself to really look at, if I'm going to sit down with a client and the price is going to go up, I want to be prepared to understand from that client's point of view, not necessarily from my point of view, from the client's point of view, why is it worth it to pay the higher price? And that is really the key discussion that we need to be able to have. Because like I said, with inflation, a lot of people, you go as a tax pro, you raise your price by 20% this tax season. There's going to be some kickback of people saying, hey, prices are already out of control. My rent's up 50%. My house, mortgage rates are X, Y, and Z. So we got to be prepared to have a real discussion with people about why the price is what it is and why it's a great deal. And so this is the way that I would go about doing that. I do want to go through a couple. So those are these are basically instructions how to fill out the spreadsheet. Let's see. Oh, view the dashboard numbers. So let's go through these other steps here. Okay, view the dashboard numbers. So these are your dashboard numbers, right? The average service value ranking. This is kind of your overall, how the price changes are impacting your overall income, and just kind of like a high level view of your business. You want to kind of use that. So once you're reasonably happy with the numbers, so you go through, you do all the spreadsheet stuff, right? And you're feeling pretty good about the numbers. Like maybe you go in here, you change, let me just experiment, get crazy and say, what if I did a minimum $500, right? Okay, how does that impact my pricing, et cetera? So you've done all that. You've used the tool, you've run your numbers for each individual client, or the clients that you choose to go through this process for and with, right? So you're reasonably happy with the numbers. Now we're on this step. Let me stay focused. At this point, so I've done the numbers and I've done the spreadsheet, but I haven't actually raised anybody's price and told them, okay, last year was 400 and this year it's 600. So I want to go back to my step one, because for me, I operate a lot on why. Why are we doing something that we're doing, and being able to communicate that to other, clients and teammates and other people, and make sure that the reason why we're doing something actually is valid and makes sense. So if we go back to step one and say, I'm going to envision how life is going to be better if these prices are adjusted and raised, and envision how life is not going to be good or is even going to get worse if I do not do this, right? And so at this point, I need to make a decision of whether I'm actually going to do this in real life. And so that's where a lot of us are right now with it's like less than 30 days before the new year, right? So you're making your prices right now, most likely. So there's going to come a point, right, where it's like you might have it on paper, but you start to think about certain clients you're going to sit down with, they're going to be upset, whatever the case may be, right? So I feel like there needs to be a decision point of like, is this something that we're really going to do? If we decide to move forward with it, we would go ahead and input the new prices into the tax software so that everything's ready to go. At this point, we want to be able to communicate any price increase if we decide to do that to clients. So give you an example of one communication strategy that we had a member last year raise prices and just included the new minimum price in the tax update newsletter, right? Just as a bullet point. It wasn't like a separate letter. It was just kind of into the letter, like, here's all the tax changes. And by the way, our new minimum price is this. So that's one communication strategy. Another communication strategy might be, hey, we're changing the nature of our service. We're now going to offer this and this, or we're doing packages, or whatever the case may be. Whatever it might be, and Trudy, I was talking about to you about this before the meeting, in the meeting before the meeting, but whatever pricing changes that we're making, we have to be ready for reality, right? Because we can have all of these pricing packages and all the things that we have in our head, or that I wrote on a piece of paper, or I did in a spreadsheet. But when it comes time to actually communicate to that to the client, that is where the rubber meets the road, right? That's where it really, and so what is that strategy to do those communications? And we do recommend blocking some time, to actually execute that strategy. Excuse me. And if teammates are involved, to block their time as well. Then we need to go about, whatever that communication strategy is, executing it. This is something that I think we overlook a lot, which is, in my opinion, extremely important. So before I go to charge any new higher price to an existing client, is there anything, or 1 to 3 things that we can do to increase the service value ranking, so the 3 R's measurement, for this client, or preferably for all of our clients? What are those things? Is it adding an audit protection plan? Is it, being more diligent about communications before tax season? Is it making it easier to get us documents securely, right? What are the things that we can do to actually increase the value of the service? And then also, this one I think is super important, is we have to prepare ourselves, or we should prepare ourselves with information and inspiration as to why the service is worth whatever I'm planning to charge. Because if I believe that it's worth it, the client is going to believe that it's worth it in general. I'm not going to say that's the case in all cases, right? But generally speaking, if I believe in the value that we're selling, right, then the client is much more likely to believe in that, and we're much more likely to have positive reactions to these price changes, right? Next step, again, is, I think, super important, is I want to have level 5 service for every single client, right? And sometimes even a price adjustment, I found, is motivation for us as tax professionals to make sure that we increase the service level for that client. Say, hey, I'm charging you double what I did last year. I got to step up my game. I've got to make sure that you really have the kind of service that you're happy to pay more for. And happy is in quotes here. Maybe they're not happy, but they're willing and they're satisfied with the service enough to where this price makes sense, right? I also need to be prepared to handle price objections. I need to be able to say, when somebody says, why is the price more than last year? I need to be prepared to have that conversation and kind of win that interaction, so to speak. I don't want to take those objections personally. Sometimes it may happen, but it's just feedback. It's just information, and it should not be a personal insult. If somebody doesn't want to pay a higher price, that's their right to not want to pay that higher price, right? That's their right. It's our right if we believe that's the right price, and the price that makes sense for us as professionals. It's our right to ask for that, right? But it doesn't need to be a personal thing. And then we need to track the numbers. We need to be able to see, at the minimum for tracking numbers, the number of tax returns prepared, the average price per tax return prepared, and be able to compare both of those year over year comparison. So those would be kind of like my minimum numbers that I need to see. And a lot of times I'll find during that process, if there's big changes in that, right, we'll be able to have that information at hand and adjust as we go. And then, just returning back to what is the reason that we want to raise prices, and what is the vision that we're moving towards with our tax career, with our tax business. Why is it worth it to do this? And why is this a journey that the clients, that should benefit the clients as well? Because ultimately, whatever we do, we want to make sure that it benefits our clients. And it's not just about us. I know that's a value for you guys. If you're here, you want to serve clients, you want the clients to be, to find value in what we do. And we also need to have the value come back to us by, making good money and being successful. So we want to be able to focus on that vision of where we're trying to get to. Again, for Dream Team members, if you need any help with these action steps, so let's say you think, be prepared to handle objections. So we're going to give you a list of ways to scripts that you can use, right? But if you need more help with that, if you need to do a role play with a client hassling you, right? Just reach out, right? Reach out to you. The reason we have the mentors for the dream team is so that you can access those. So as you're going through this process, or if you're choosing parts of this process that you want to do and you need help, let us know. That's why we're here. And again, with that in mind, I want to thank Glenn he's our main point of contact for that kind of support, and just really great resource to, sometimes if he's not the best fit to help you with something, he can reach out to one of our other mentors and make sure you get the help that you need. So, all right. So that was the free portion of the training for YouTube. Let me see how we are on time. So about 40 minutes. Want to thank everybody on YouTube that attended. And also wanted to say, so let's say let me get back to here for a second. So let's say you were watching the training, and I know a lot of you guys have been looking at the Dream Team membership, considering it as well. But let's say you're watching this training and you're thinking that, hey, the second half of the training, all these tools, everything else that you guys are doing, everything, else that's going on in the second half, I want to be a part of that. I want to join the Dream Team. Like I said, we have added a monthly membership option if you want to do that. So the way that Imelda, step in here if I'm saying anything that's incorrect, because that sometimes doesn't happen. But so if you want to join the Dream Team right now, you should get a notification. You should via email with a link to join the private meeting. So you should be able to immediately jump into the private meeting. If you're watching the recording on YouTube, after we've already completed the live broadcast, you can go into the description of the video, and there should be a link there to join the Dream Team. And then you'll be able to go to the recording of this the full training, including the second half, and you'll be able to access all of the tools that are shown here and all the extra stuff.
Andy, really quick, the email that went out for the people that purchased it already went out. So if anybody purchases right now, they have to email me. So I put my email in the chat for anybody that purchased it that are seeing YouTube in the chat box. So I'll go ahead and put it again so they can just email me.
Okay, so that's going to be Imelda, you guys, Imelda at prontotaxschool.com. So if you join right now in the Dream Team and you need to get the link to the meeting, make sure to email Imelda at prontotaxschool.com. Because when you put it in the chat here in the Zoom meeting, Imelda, it's probably not going to make it over to YouTube. So we got to make sure that those people, if you join right now, you want to get into the meeting, just email Imelda, Imelda at prontotaxschool.com, and she'll make sure you get that link. So, all right, that's what I had, you guys, for the live broadcast on YouTube. It was actually we tried to do this once before and it didn't work, but I hope it worked this time. And this is a new method that we're looking at to make it easier for people to attend free training that we do. As you guys know, we try to do a lot of free training for people. So the idea of broadcasting live to YouTube, something that we're kind of experimenting with. Let us know what you think of it. If you liked it, even if you didn't like it or thought it could be improved, all that feedback is really valuable to us. So with that, we're going to go into the private meeting for the Dream Team members, and we're going to sign off YouTube. So Melda and Carlos, whenever we are signed off, just let me know.